Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about the new J-Som album, Anak. J-Som, aka Melina May Duterte. She is a modern bedroom pop superstar, and honestly, in her early days, I did kind of miss the boat, but a couple of months after she got really big, I actually got really super obsessed with her. 2016's Turn Into was just so chilled out and sweet. I loved the hazy beats and vibes all wrapped up in this very fluffy atmosphere. Honestly, it was just really great. Now, 2017's Everybody Works did take me a little longer to appreciate. For me, I felt like some of the softer, more ballad-like tracks this time around didn't come off as sweet. But for me, I felt like some of the more progressive tracks like Take It and Baby and my personal favorite, One More Time Please, that really stole me this album. Now, in the months leading up to this, J-Som has dropped a couple of singles, all that I've kind of felt that are like super adventurous for her, very forward thinking, and I've been super excited for this album because of that. Let's chat about this thing. Album starts off with If You Want It, and right off the bat, this is so cool. It's a little less dreamy, a little more organic as far as the work of J-Som goes. It sees her like taking her time and really working on this very new sound for her. There are still the same elements of bedroom pop and indie pop as well as other pop elements, but there's also like some soft rock thrown in there as well. It's just so infectious, so sweet. It really grabbed my ear from the first listen. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. This is by far some of her most polished work to date. Which, yes, might upset a few, but for me, I think it's miraculous just how much character and charm still shines through. This is just such a great intro for me. Then we have Superbike, and the much more organic, down-to-earth vibe of this album continues to show in a big way. Like, honestly, at this point, we've left bedroom pop behind, and we are now on this long, winding road of indie rock and indie pop, and it's actually quite beautiful. I love the constant driving strumming here, and I love Melina's vocals. They are freaking awesome. Not to mention, there's still just such a humble nature to her music that I can't help but adore so much. It's just so sunny and sweet, and in the final moments it becomes gigantic and epic. I didn't see that coming, but I digress. I love this track so much. On the other hand, Peace Out takes on a much more grimy, a little bit rougher of a riff. It's in moments like this that it shows that Melina's not really wasting a single second with this album, and this one builds really nicely. Like, there's actually some genuine tension building on this track, and I love it. And in return, Melina's showing off some serious attitude here, which is something we've never really heard that much of, and it comes off really nice. I mean, obviously, this is far from where we left her at the end of Everybody Works, but the level of fearlessness to this album is just really charming. And once again, in the final minute, this track explodes and becomes pretty gigantic and epic and oddly timeless. Like, there is something about those wailing guitars in the background that just takes me to the simpler time of all of these genres. Like, I absolutely love everything about this track. Now, while I was going forward listening to this album, I was thinking to myself, is this just super sweet on the ears? Is this just like hitting me on the right day? But after multiple listens, this album just makes me feel so freaking good at the end of the day. It just makes me feel so happy. I can't be in a bad mood listening to this album. And at the end of the day, that's what music should do for you. Devotion, on the other hand, is very sunny, very breezy. The soft rock vibes continue to be a huge part of this album, and I continue to completely gobble them up. And alongside of those very sweet vocals of Melina's, it all just seems right. Not to mention, this one has a very dreamy, colorful atmosphere that I just can't help but love. Like, yeah, you can argue that this may not be genre pushing or anything too wild for these genres, but this track just makes me want to float away. It's just so sweet on the ears. And the vocal layering in the last few moments is such a nice touch. Nighttime Drive, on the other hand, is a very stripped down, folky ballad. And like most of this album, it's very sweet, it's very tender. And I would swear as the years go on, Melina's voice is just getting better and better. Now, this track isn't as catchy or as instantaneous, especially when you look at just how immediate the rest of this album has been. But the positive vibes and the added string sections that come in just make this track come full circle and make me enjoy it just as much. And Tenderness is a very interesting left turn as well. While this track does have a lot of the same elements, the soft rock, the indie pop, it does come off a little bit more synthetic. Like, that very cold, calculating drum machine is just a far cry from just how colorful and lush and full of life everything else has been here. But this track, by the end of it, blossoms into one of the most stunning tracks here. Like, this is the sound of, like, a new romance or a new life starting all together. It just makes me want to kind of fall asleep in a field of flowers or something. It's just, it touches me so much. And with the final few tracks here, it's pretty obvious Melina still has a couple of tricks up her sleeves. Take, for example, the title track, Anak. Honestly, this one did take a while to grow on me. This one shows what Melina can do in a very stripped down environment, and the results are very mysterious, even sultry at points. Like, I feel like this track is ready for the Roadhouse and Twin Peaks. And those added strummed guitars, like, I honestly feel like I'm listening to, like, the soundtrack to the first couple of Silent Hill games. It's absolutely miraculous. It's the sort of atmospheric track that I really wasn't expecting here, but man, I'm glad it is. It just tells me that this isn't the end of Jae-sam or Melina's journey, and this may not be her biggest statement to date. Like, this is exciting for me. And Crown might be the most immediate track here. Those keyboards or synths or whatever they are, they certainly wake you up immediately. This track very quickly transitions to a very upbeat, smooth indie rock track. And at this point, I literally feel like I'm just like a slave to Melina's buttery vocals. I just can't help but just fall in love with each one of them. And like the last track, Anak, there is a genuine mysterious vibe to this track that I think is freaking great. If you haven't guessed it, right now I feel like this is the front runner for indie pop, for me at least, for the year. I am absolutely in love with this album for the most part. I mean, if I had to choose one track that I wasn't completely into, it would be Get Well. It's a very downtrodden, stripped down track. But even if I'm not completely sold on it, I think those slide guitars, man, those are powerful, and she should have done more with them because they are awesome. No, as a matter of fact, it's more than anything her vocals here that don't really do it for me, which is sad because every other track, I feel like she's been on top form. And like maybe this track could have been pushed a little further. Like, it's not the worst indie pop track I've heard all year, but by far it's my least favorite track here. So overall, I am freaking loving this new Jae-sam album. No, it's not the most progressive or wild or eclectic group of indie pop tracks that you're going to hear this year. I don't think it's about that. I think that on this album, Jae-sam has left her bedroom pop days behind her, got on this winding road of soft rock and indie pop and indie rock and the sense of adventure and just new feelings that she's bringing to the table, as well as her fearlessness on this album. Just to embrace all of it is just so exciting for me. I love, love, love this album. I'm feeling a light 9 on this album. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.